What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for another recap of what went down on this season's 90 Day Fiance, season 4, episode 2. So let's get into what went down between Larissa and Colt. We start off with Larissa picking back up in the producer van that she had escaped to at the end of the last episode. She tells us that she feels like a prisoner and that Colt's mom is the one manipulating him against her, and she's scared of his mom calling the cops and falsely accusing her of a crime. You know, one thing to note here is that as soon as she re-enters the home after the confessional about being scared and the mom being like a psycho after her, she says nothing to anybody. And then Debbie immediately antagonizes her and she walks away silently, you know, proving her point that there is something wrong with Colt's creepy ass mom. To make matters even worse, Colt takes out his mom for dinner to help her decompress after all the drama that she's been instigating herself with Larissa. They go out for margaritas. He opens the door for her and everything, probably pulled out a chair, dusted a napkin on her lap, and Debbie promptly gets to crying and complaining about how ever since Colt got a wife, he hasn't been confiding in his mommy as often as before, and that he now confides in his wife instead. She also complains that the two of them haven't been out on a date. She didn't say date, but you know that's what she meant. Who complains that her son hasn't taken her out since he got married? She's like, oh, we haven't even been out, just the two of us, since he got married. Like, she is such a bitter sister wife. It's not even funny. And like, she's so dramatic that she literally starts crying real tears about the fact that Larissa flushed a cubic zirconia ring down the toilet. Like, if the husband isn't the one sitting there crying about it, why are you, as his mom, crying like, you know, it's your money or it's your situation or whatever? She is just way too involved in what goes on between this married couple. Meanwhile, at the house, Larissa thinks that Colt and Debbie are both conspiring to get her deported, and she sits in the backyard with Colt where she confronts him about lying to the police. And Colt immediately apologizes for it and adds a condescending darling, like he didn't just casually give her a criminal record, like, you know, for no reason. He didn't deny lying to the police either. Did you notice that? All he said was, "I'm sorry, darling. I wish I could take it back, but like, what? Like, let's go back up a little bit and readdress the fact that you lied to the police about me, and now my citizenship is in jeopardy." Like, unfortunately, Larissa doesn't have like the English skills to be able to confront him on that, but you know, that is something very seriously that he literally fessed up to in front of all of us. Larissa has had it with him at this point, and she tells him that if he screws her over again, she's going to divorce her. And then he tells her that he wasn't the one who flushed the rings down the toilet, as if that is something to even be calling the police over. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, your spouse flushed the rings down the toilet, be upset about it, leave them, give them the silent treatment or whatever, but that's what you call the police over, dude? Really? He never once accused her of being violent with him, and I feel like if that were true, Colt would have thrown it out there on camera for all of us to see. So, you know, this goes back to what I've been saying since the first 911 call. I think that Colt is like a manipulative slime who's been lying to get Larissa canned. He's kind of one of those, if I can't have her, no one can have her kind of guys, and he's ruining her chances of staying in America if not with him. The topic then moves over to the conversation of being sexy enough. Larissa starts complaining about Colt's expectations of her dressing sexy with lots of lingerie and perfume without being generous enough to buy those things for her, even though he knows that she can't work in America and buy those things for herself. She's like, what? How can I meet these expectations that you have of me, of being like a, you know, a blow up doll or whatever, if you don't buy me the lingerie, if you don't buy me the perfume and all of that stuff? And I'm like, gagging at the thought of that stuff. But instead of confronting and answering the question, Colt accuses her of being too combative and that they can't have a conversation because of it. You know, I do get where he's coming from when you want to have a nice, calm, civil conversation and someone is just screaming at you. So on that point, I do wish that Larissa just took it down a few notches, compromised, and, you know, repeated her question again. But instead, she decided to storm off, and we never really got a resolution on what was going on there. The final time that we ever see Larissa and Colt, They're all at the home, and it's Larissa's trial date, and Colt decides to go to work instead of going to court because he doesn't want to be called as a witness to testify against her. So Debbie's the one who's going to be driving her to court after she packs Colt's lunch. I was really interested to know whether or not Debbie actually goes into the court, because technically she could have been called on as a witness as well, because all three of them do live together. But I guess that's something we're gonna find out in the next episode. When it came to Nicole and Azen on this episode of the show, they basically spent the entire time trying to figure out whether or not they can ever cross paths again outside of Morocco. So Nicole FaceTimes Azen and suggests that they go on a vacation together to a country where he can get in without a visa. The list is not very long, unfortunately, but they do find a couple of countries. She'd prefer to go to a non-Muslim country, I think, so that they can have intercourse and be affectionate with each other in public. And quite frankly, Azan looked repulsed at the thought of it when she brought it up. Apparently they had tried to go to South Korea together before, but he was denied entrance for no reason, even though South Korea is a country that allows Moroccans in without a visa. That, you know, sounded off to me. I have a feeling that Azan never actually boarded the plane to go to South Korea and actually just pocketed the money that Nicole sent him to buy a ticket with, but I digress. Another sketchy thing to me is the fact that they never stay in the same room in hotels in Morocco. I found that sketchy. Azan told her that they can't until they're married, but I went to Morocco for Christmas, you know, with my then boyfriend, and we were sharing hotel rooms all over the freaking country. I think most people just assumed we were married and never really bothered us about it or anything like that. I think he's just not trying to share a bed with old girl. And so the final time we see Nicole, she goes to a staffing agency so she can find temp work, but for some reason she didn't bring a resume with her to an interview with the staffing agency. Like, Nicole, are you trying to buy Azan more beauty supplies or not? Get it together. We find out that, of course, surprise, surprise, Nicole has no computer skills, and you know, she actually seems scared of even working in an office setting. A producer asks her what Azan does for work to help her with all of the financial stress that she's under, and Nicole very nonchalantly just says that he doesn't work. He just spends all day hanging out with his friends. And it's quite sad to think that that's the kind of man that she feels like she deserves. And you know, take that out of the equation. If that's the type of man you think you deserve, that's between you and your self-esteem. But your daughter, you don't think your daughter deserves better than that? Like, Nicole, as it is, already doesn't have that much money. Remember, she was living in public housing, I think, and now she's living in a trailer with her sister and her brother. Like, she doesn't have money to be throwing around like this. You know, this is coming out of her daughter's already very minimal, you know, lifestyle. It's really sad. I really wish she would wake up and get it together and just focus on her kid and, you know, her career as well. But of course, this is Nicole, so that is not going to happen. But anyway, you guys, that's a quick recap of what went on between Larissa and Colt, as well as Azan and Nicole on 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After Season 4, Episode 2. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.